Project Quest is different from the other training programs that I have been involved with because they were personal with me. They were interested not in the generic program, but in a tailored program that was specifically to fit what I needed. I didn't need daycare, so they didn't ask me about daycare. I needed transportation, I needed uniforms, I needed books, I wanted a job.
You need to wake up and realize that we need to invest in people, us right here. Who is here tonight? Who else is here tonight? We're united for them to listen to us of our needs. We need for them to invest in us. The cops here?
In September 1992, the two organizations, Metro Alliance and COPS, met with the elected politicians for the city, the mayor, the council people, and we were demanding, one, let them know that we wanted to have Project Quest to be part of what was happening in San Antonio. So what we actually needed was money. We needed to be able to make the city make a commitment that the money would be available that we needed. And believe it or not, we were asking for $2 million.
What was interesting about that meeting is as we were inside talking to them and they were saying no, the people were outside. Hundreds of people had come in buses and they were all chanting in unison, invest in us, invest in us, invest in us. Their final word though was no. So we walked them out of City Hall to the steps, and they opened the door and faced all this hundreds of people chanting with signs and everything else. And then I asked them that question one more time. And as proof of the power of people, of organized people, when the question was asked, the answer was yes.
The thing that was really exciting about this thing was that we had a big bulletin there on the side of the building, and we asked the mayor to sign off saying that he was going to support what we were doing.
This was a place that really was the wake-up call to the fact that unemployment and underemployment had reached a critical point in San Antonio, and particularly for our families.
We found that jobs had been leaving San Antonio gradually, and it hadn't really been until the Levi plant closing that really our community became much more awake to what was really happening.
Essentially, in San Antonio, in the 1980s, we lost about 25,000 jobs, and primarily that was in the low-skill, light manufacturing jobs, which actually paid relatively decent wages for our folks. There was almost an equal gain in jobs, but it was in the hotel and restaurant industry and the service economy, which unfortunately paid lower wages and often was very seasonal.
The importance of job training became very crucial. We knew that without adequate training and the development of substantial skills, that people would find themselves locked into a low-wage, low-skilled, and basically no future.
Well, COPS is an organization which was put together by the Industrial Areas Foundation, and basically its purpose is to enable ordinary people, primarily poor and working people, to be effective in dealing with public issues which affect their families, schools, workplace, etc. It was put together back in 1974 through a process of individual meetings, small group meetings, and small actions that people did around park issues, drainage projects, flooding problems, all kinds of questions which had to do with the quality of life in inner city San Antonio areas. Metro Alliance is similar to COPS. There was a need for Project Quest because of this change that took place in the labor market in San Antonio. As a result of this situation, the COPS and Metro Alliance leaders did research actions. We did analysis, talked to people like former Secretary of Labor Ray Marshall, talked to people like Lester Thoreau, talked to people like Norton Grubb, talked to people like Frank Levy from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, famous labor economist, who began to teach them how to think about labor markets, met with people like Bill Grider, who helped them understand the changes that are taking place in the global marketplace.
But also real important is the role of the organizations, COPS and Metro Alliance. And without them, it doesn't work. It becomes just another project. And so I think
the main reason that Project Quest is different from most job training programs is because of its thoroughness and its comprehensive approach to the problem. And what COPS and the Metro Alliance brought to that was a deep understanding of the community. They did things that ordinary employment agencies have difficulty doing, and that is penetrate the community, get the confidence of the community, and use community people to help operate the project.
One of the most important requisites of developing a successful organization like COPS or Metro Alliance is what we call the Iron Rule. Okay, the Iron Rule is never ever do for anyone what he or she can do for themselves. The Iron Rule provides dignity, self-respect, and ownership.
When you look at areas like this, it shows what is happening in our communities. People do not have jobs, don't have money, therefore the businesses are moving out of the area.
When the COPS and Metro leaders first started looking at job training, we really had no idea as to which way to go or what was possible. So that's where we started off our research. First of all, looking at what was available through JTPA, listening to our people through the House meetings to determine what was the problem.
We learned that basically people did not have many marketable skills in order to be able to get kind of jobs that would provide them with a future. And that unless we could start to name the kind of jobs that existed in San Antonio and the training that they would need to be able to be certified in that therefore we could help them begin to make a transition.
Good morning.
So I think that the House meetings and the one-on-ones that we did were the things that put this program over. They let people talk, they let people express their concerns, they let people themselves come to a conclusion. We didn't just say we want it. The people were saying we want a program that will satisfy our needs. We want a program that will pay us better salaries. We want a program where we will be a part of the economic growth in San Antonio.
Most importantly, we went to the employers and we said, what would you do if you wanted to train one of your employees? What kind of training is necessary to get your job?
Project Quest has been a success from the beginning because it is fundamentally sound. And it's fundamentally sound because those in COPS and Metro understood the problem, found a workable solution that made sense to everyone, and they enlisted my help and asked me to talk to others in the business community. At the same time, they were out with their contacts, which they had established, like the ones with me, and they were talking themselves to the business community. So I think this added some real credibility both to my approach and to their approach, and it brought together some 26 firms that, as I remember, this is going back to 1991 in the fall, there were some 626 job positions that were needed and could be filled by a project such as Project Quest.
One of the things we discovered in doing our research was there was about 2,000 jobs in the healthcare industry that was changing over every year. And in fact, the hospitals had a very difficult time filling those positions, and they went as far away as the Philippines and other countries in order to fill the jobs that people from San Antonio could have filled.
The hospital was committed to Project Quest from the very beginning. COPS and Metro Alliance presented their initial ideas about Project Quest and what it could do for the healthcare industry in San Antonio. Essentially, their question to the CEOs was, if we were to produce a qualified healthcare professional, could you provide employment for them? And it was pretty much unanimous that yes, as many RNs and X-ray technologists and other technicians that Project Quest could provide, we could provide employment for.
Today, as one of our strongest allies, it seems so appropriate that Governor Richards be with us again as we bring together all the pieces needed to make this human investment system work in San Antonio now and in the future throughout the state of Texas.